Hello and welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Destroying Fandoms. I'm your host, Dan, and I'm here, of course, with my co-host, Ethan. Ethan, play us in.
Hey!
All right, that's too much. That's too much. Go ahead and dial that back. Dial it back. You guys loved that last episode so much, I assume, even though no one has really reviewed it yet, that we went ahead and recorded a second one.
That's
right, everybody. We got renewed past the pilot. So today, we're going to be talking about everybody's favorite fandom, Star Wars. And with me, of course, today, my guest, Brett. Welcome back.
I do not like Star Wars.
We've got Victor as well.
Please, God, no.
And, of course, Dan K.
Why are you doing that voice?
Yes. So, before we begin into Star Wars, there was a question that was asked last week during the Harry Potter fandom that we all agreed would be great to address Dan K with. So, Dan K, I've got a quick Harry Potter question for you.
Sure, go for it.
How often do you think Polyjuice Potion is used in sexual roleplay?
That was not the question you asked. I actually listened to that episode.
No, that's the question.
You have to answer it. I think that's how this format works.
That's the question.
Okay, we're assuming the wizarding world uses all of this stuff all the time. Like, it's clearly in books. They know about it. The nurse
it's a
is
common
like,
potion.
kid,
It's in your book at school.
It's like Viagra, but for them.
all the fucking time
Constant.
is the answer. Yeah, in every
How many
single
divorces
instance.
do you think came from an accidental polyjuicing?
I was thinking this is more of a yiffing sort of scenario.
Go on.
Well, I don't think I have to go on. I think it's
Explain.
fairly self-explanatory here.
What does
for those who-
yiffing mean?
What?
Don't
What does yiffing mean? I don't know what that means.
don't
Can you please
smile at
explain?
me like that. You know exactly what it means.
Well, this is perfect. It leads to my first question, which is when Chewbacca fucks his wife, do we call it yiffing?
I don't.
Wait,
Maybe.
does Chewbacca canonically have a wife?
It's in the Christmas special.
You are referencing the Christmas special.
I mean,
He's got a whole family, and that means he has kids, which means they've yiffed.
that guy yiffs. I'm going to go ahead and
Yeah.
say yes. That means that they do yiff, and they yiff horde. If you can see how big they are.
I'm going to give this a solid no, because you have to be in costume. So they would have to be in human costumes,
Maybe that's
fucking
their-
each
maybe-
other in order for it to be yiffing.
Maybe he throws on a pair of cargo shorts
He
and a
puts on
button
Han's
down, and he's
pants.
ready to go.
Han's pants and shirts, now that Han is dead.
Like a vest.
Oh!
Honey, this is what you said you wanted.
Oh my God! And shaves himself just so that keeps the top.
Just the genitals. Only the genitals. It's just full hair everywhere else.
Well, that was not actually a real question. I just really thought that'd be a good one.
It is a real question now. You asked it and we answered you.
You're welcome, everybody. Here's more of a statement I'd like your opinions on. Obi Wan Kenobi. Are you familiar? Old Ben
Yes.
Kenobi. Everyone knows who that is.
Yep.
Would you say that his career as an educator is ultimately just failure?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
He fails inherently at his literally only job.
Victor, you seem to have an opinion.
No, I would say because in the prequels he's the only one who succeeds. He kills everyone that they send him to kill.
As
No,
you
no,
would
no.
as a teacher.
As an educator.
as an
As an
educator.
educator. Is he a failure?
I mean, Luke makes it out all right.
Does he?
Does he?
Because he ends up hating the Jedi Order and wants to destroy
Yeah.
everything it's founded on. I would say that's,
But that's
pretty much a
on
failure.
his failures as a teacher.
Maybe he just doesn't like the
Yeah.
institution of academia.
But he
and
was taught by Obi-Wan, so he's
Yeah.
literally just... And all Obi-Wan gave him was secrets and lies.
Yeah, that's kind of true. To be fair, yeah, that would. I mean, it'd be like a teacher gave you like two facts, and you're like, "Wait, you told me we won the Civil War and we lost it at the same. What do you mean? Like, tell me the real fact." Like, I don't know. Figure it out.
I guess you'll have to research it
I mean,
yourself.
some of us think we lost. I'm like, no, don't do that. That's bad. Like,
Speaking of the Jedi Order...
I'm sorry if I can put my point
No,
out
please,
here. I
please.
will agree. Obi-Wan is trash for a number of series.
What?
No, and here's why.
As a teacher,
As
or
a teacher, one, his teacher is murdered in front of him at an incredibly young age.
Yeah.
So therefore,
he doesn't know how to teach right because his education got interrupted.
absolutely, yeah.
Yet the
He's
system still deemed him
And
worthy
just
to
gave him
teach.
one.
They still
Well,
said...
he basically got like a pity seat.
and they gave him the kid that they were worried about being taught.
yeah.
Oh no! Not only that, he picked him. He picked his own
Which is
single
not-
student,
yeah.
and then became best friends and brothers with his students.
Can I ask when the fuck does that happen? Because I don't see that in any of the
I've seen it a
movies.
couple times on the news. It's usually more sexual, but
Oh, hey-o.
and then
Ethan, play the jingle for sexual harassment. Thanks, Ethan.
followed by that, he then teaches Luke badly, like literally gives him a sword before teaching him how to use the sword.
Yeah.
Yeah.
hands it to him, and then says, this little droid's going to shoot lasers at you. Just try to block it.
And then what does he do? He just like fucks off for a little while.
Yeah. He
Then he
goes and
dies.
takes a nap in the Millennium Falcon because he's old.
Yeah, combined with that is the fact that he lived next to Luke Skywalker for the man's entire life.
Just watching him from afar.
Yeah, doesn't teach him, doesn't prep him. Hey, one day you might have to deal with the fact that your father is the overlord of the Empire. That might be a thing that eventually will come to haunt you when somebody figures it out. No preparation,
Yeah, and
no
it's not
training.
like they tried to hide it. Luke's last name was still Anakin's last name, right? Like, at least Leia had an excuse.
No one looked that up. I never thought about that.
Yeah.
No one's like, there's a farm where I used to live and I have family.
Huh.
Yeah, that's weird.
Huh? Did they have a kid? But they don't have
Hey,
my
whatever
last name.
happened to Padme's Aunt Beru? Does anyone know what happened to Aunt Beru? I guess that was actually
No, it's
Anakin's family,
Anakin.
wasn't it?
Yeah.
It's Anakin's step
Yeah,
family.
he didn't ever look up his aunt and uncle.
Yeah, you'd think that would
Yeah.
be a thing because he knows exactly where they lived and they never moved.
I-
Let's
you know, I-
add to Obi-Wan's garbage status as a teacher by continuing on the fact that when he takes Luke Skywalker, this person that he has not trained at all, into
Yeah.
the most dangerous area in the galaxy,
Yeah.
he then has a one-on-one fight with his former student and then sees
His
Luke,
brother.
his brother, and then thinking to himself, man, that kid's got a lot to learn. He goes, well, you know what? My teacher's untimely death worked for me, and gives the fuck up.
Yeah.
Damn.
Obi-Wan Kenobi is a bad teacher.
All right.
Oh,
so
man, I didn't even think about put that together. He's like, oh, yeah, this is the only way he's going to learn. I became a badass because I
I killed
Yeah,
General
it
Grievous,
wasn't-
so maybe he could too.
It wasn't because I had millions of teachers to teach me different skill sets and everything.
There was an established order
Yeah.
for my training.
from what we see, Obi-Wan has 2 students that he fails on entirely in
Completely.
the movies.
Yeah, 100%.
Completely.
Yeah.
And that's the only thing that we as the viewer get to see. So if we watch him fail with Anakin spectacularly to the point in time where he maims him and leaves him for dead.
Yeah. Does not kill
Fuck.
him.
That's ultimately the end of Anakin's final exam. Is
Yeah.
just getting maimed.
I
And
And
burned.
when
high
I-
ground.
I think that we can agree that that is him failing his final exam.
Yeah, and this isn't just like the students we saw he had. We watched Obi-Wan from like age 19 to death.
Yeah.
Like,
and
we pretty
see-
much cover the career.
He's got 2 pupils. So at Jedi Academy, I think he's 0 for 2 in terms of like successfully
Man,
trained
yeah.
Jedi.
Yes, and yet he is always lauded as one of the best Jedis, like the best examples.
Well, look at the guy that trained Obi-Wan. He used the Force for gambling.
Shit.
Like he's like, oh yeah, the Force is everywhere. I'm gonna influence this gambling bet real quick.
I'm
All
also
right,
going to separate this
Uh,
child from his mother. It'll be
okay,
fine
that's
for him.
fine. He
Yeah.
won't care.
Yeah, one of the
hey,
darker parts
Crim-
of like
Darker.
Hey, shut up, Obi-Wan.
I mean,
Just cram
we
this.
Could just,
Why
like,
just steal both of them?
Yeah, why just-
kidnap them? They're living in fucking slavery.
There's- yeah.
Which brings me to my next question.
there we
Oh,
go.
here we go.
Tatooine.
Yeah.
Tatooine. It's an economy based on agriculture and trade, right? I think
Sure.
everyone would say it's a commerce planet.
Yeah.
And of
Yeah.
course, it is held up by slaves.
Yeah.
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 Right? So everyone's in agreement on that part, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Cool. Droids.
Sure.
Quick moment on droids.
Oh, okay.
They
I
have
thought you were going
personalities.
somewhere
They're
else.
sentient in a
Mhm.
way. C-3PO and R2-D2 prove that they have personalities.
Yeah.
Why is that not considered slavery?
I mean, do you consider Alexa your slave?
No, Alexa
Yes.
does,
I
is
mean,
not
yes, I
a
do.
sentient being.
It's not sentient, but it's almost getting there.
No, it isn't. It's not
connected to the-
sentient. It is intelligent.
It's a
But it's not
trigger that's
sentient,
just
but
listening.
they're built for that specific purpose. Hence
But
the name droid.
Then they have
Like, that's
personalities.
in
they can
there.
do their own things.
I-
BB-8 obviously gets
How do you know
scared
that's
of
not
things.
complicated apps you just download into it? Because some droids you see are literally just a Roomba. They
I-
literally just serve drinks.
Sure, if we're
They
talking
don't
about the
talk or
gonk droids and the mouse droids, they're not doing much. But at the same time, are you saying that they don't have personalities, or is it that we just don't understand them?
I
We
think
might
that,
not understand.
according to the Star Wars roleplay
Oh, no.
handbook, that a droid is just a robot that had a glitch that gave it a personality, and that it was originally intended to be a utilitarian item.
Oh.
So this does lead into this like
I thought you were going to go into like Twi'leks and like Wookiees.
No, no,
'cause
no, hold
those are
on. I've
actual
got-
slaves in the
Okay,
universe.
first of
we're
all-
aware of the
Oh.
actual slaves.
Oh,
I
okay.
mentioned there's actual slaves. I'm
Gotcha.
talking about why is it not considered
okay.
slavery
Okay.
for droids?
I
Because
think
they're
it- I think
objects.
they are objects to
Yeah.
the Star Wars.
They are
universe.
made.
They are made. So this gets into the
But so are
the
babies.
the Matrix.
Ethan, play some sexy baby making music.
God damn it.
This gets into the Matrix Blade Runner concept of what is a being.
What is
right?
life?
What is life? And the Star Wars universe has solidly decided that droids are not that.
But
That
then
it-
you've got
yeah.
IG-88, who answers to no one.
Sure, answers to no one, is his own person, is still a fucking droid to everyone else in the galaxy, is a machine
Yeah,
that can
and
be
then he
strapped
kills
at
them.
any time.
So
The appropriate solution for IG-88 is to wipe his memories from existence and turn him into a shell of his former self. They are fine
Damn.
with that
yeah,
as a culture.
yeah.
Yeah,
I
That's my
think
point.
In the case of IG-88, that's probably the right thing to do. Like, oh yeah, we built him. Well, for some reason, I taught him to use guns, and
I accidentally
also,
hooked his brain up to the
he
Bounty
looks
Network, so he
like,
sees
he
it.
downloaded the whole thing. And I taught
also
him to
just
drive
looks
my
like
car, and now my car's gone.
Any coat rack in a wall or piping in your wall, yeah, he could be anywhere.
Yeah,
he
he-
basically just camouflages with most backdrops in this
That,
universe.
that looking back on it, this is a mistake.
Now, back to Tatooine for a quick moment. Do you think that Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru ever had or aspired to have slaves, seeing as their whole economy is held up by it?
Hell yes, they probably were like, "Oh, honey, we got to get through this crop of moisture this season. We'll be able to get ourselves a nice strapping young slave."
I would disagree because their
Because they
his
had Luke,
stepmom-
who was their slave. Yeah.
Exactly.
Well,
Thank you.
free
That was gonna be my
slave.
point.
Free slave that Obi-Wan gave them, and then they hated Obi-Wan forever for some reason.
Because he was probably bad at being
I
a
was
slave.
gonna say like their mom was a slave, so I'm pretty sure she like raised them with that aspect of like, yeah, this is awful.
Yeah, they got to
And she
see
died.
that like the
For,
farms
like,
are
a movie.
successful when you have slaves.
Yeah,
And they probably thought, as many do, well, you know what? When I have slaves, I'll treat them better.
I think that whole like
God damn.
God damn.
God damn it.
Oh God. Well, I mean, I feel like if in this context of this world, if it's part of their agriculture system, they would have probably been raised to think that that's normalized and okay. And if they're viewing it in purely economic means, then maybe they really wanted one but just couldn't afford it.
Yeah. Well, because it looked like they did not have a very big moisture farm.
Yeah.
They were able to afford droids, but only from the secondhand Jawa flea market that travels around.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got to think that Victor, your point on like, oh, they would have seen slavery as bad. I think the only thing they got out of that was sand people are bad.
Yeah.
Like
That's true actually. Yeah.
yeah.
never mind.
Otherwise, slavery worked for them. They got a mom. Like,
Yeah, and
it's
they
a-
clearly were like, "Oh yeah, our dad just married one. That's weird." Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
and they
Oh
were-
God, really? That's where they came from?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's his step brother. Like that's
Did
not
he
like
Buy
blood.
her and then
That's
marry
why
her?
I think so. Yes.
yeah, that's the
Yeah.
implication.
Well, they could have, he bought her, but then she was taken by the sand people.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh,
Which,
God.
by the way,
There's a
sounds
good-
so racist.
What did, yeah, right.
So racist when you say
Is that really what they're called?
Yeah.
They are
they're-
called sand people.
Their official name
Tusken
are
Raiders.
Tusken Raiders. Correct.
Uh-huh. And that's the guy with like the weird crooked staff thing. That's like
Correct.
gur gur
Yes.
gur gur.
The gaffy stick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it has a name.
Yeah.
It does. It does have a
They
name. I read a
also
lot
are-
of Star Wars literature. as a
Aren't
young
they
man.
also like the native inhabitants of that planet?
Yes. Yeah. They
Yeah.
are the Aboriginals of
Okay,
Tatooine.
perfect.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
great. So
Tatooine's
we took
Australia.
their land from
yeah,
Sure,
took
sure
their
did.
land, made slaves.
decided to call them sand people.
Yes, and murder them.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
God.
Tatooine's a bad place.
Yeah, Obi-Wan, that's probably the only lesson he taught that actually stuck, which was, Mos Eisley, you'll never find a more wretched hive of scum and villainy, although he should have just said Tatooine as a whole. All right, next
Oh.
question. Next question. Ethan, go ahead and play a nice, deep, melodic song for this next one. Guys, the Empire gets a real bad rap. Am I right? They're the bad
Yeah.
guys. They're the villains. But as a government system, they managed to make peace across the galaxy. So my question is, do you think that the Empire might have worked if they had just gotten rid of the Sith at the head? If maybe they had actually had a diplomat in charge?
So
A
you-
real senator who gave a shit?
You're asking, was Anakin Skywalker right when he described that the only way peace would come to the galaxy was through an authoritative dictatorship?
I would like to see what your alternative is, because the alternative is this Senate that was slow and ineffective at stopping the very racist Trade Federation from blockading other planets and making sure that essentially harmonious trade continued.
Just to confirm, you're not saying that the Trade Federation was itself racist, but rather the depiction was
Yes.
super racist
Correct,
because
correct.
George Lucas can't figure
It
out
was
how to
very
do an accent
clearly
that's not
supposed
racist.
to be just China.
Yeah,
and
it
he
was
didn't
China.
know how to not do that racistly. Yes.
Yeah. They were.
Oh God, it was.
It's China.
Oh
Oh
God.
yeah, we can go
They
into the
literally-
Phantom
they have
Menace a
the
little bit
accent and
closer.
everything.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Uh,
please, the question's to you.
So yeah, essentially we're talking about the Empire, which maintained a solid peace in the galaxy for about 20 years, with one exception being the time they blew up that planet.
Sure. But that was
Had it
because a terrorist organization assaulted one of their bases, took their plans, right? Espionage, and they basically were like, "Look, give us the plans back or we're going to blow up the home world of what we obviously know is the seat of your resistance."
But
It's kind of like what we did in Afghanistan, am I right?
Yeah, we didn't nuke Kabul, so like,
Might as well have.
I'm just gonna put that out there.
No,
Well,
we
they
just
also
destroyed their
use-
economy.
We just
They're
destroyed
Nazi
their
Germany,
economy
'cause if
and-
you read lore, there's every system they take over. The way they do it is they throw people in insane asylums. They put people in charge to overthrow the local government. Use propaganda. They do a lot of fear tactics in general. So it's not a peaceful like everyone has a governor. No, they're like, hey, you're hungry for power. Take out this person however way you want. Support the empire, and then they're in slowly.
But that begs the question of like, you know,
It's
in
a
the
takeover.
So you're
like
ta-
most systems are
But
not
the
happy.
question
to have
is,
the empire.
could Nazi Germany have done well without Hitler? That's the question. If you want to call them Nazis, that's fine. But
Oh,
my
I've-
point is,
I was really hoping that we wouldn't compare them to Nazis because I was
let's
about to
avoid
say
that.
I'm.
they're literally called stormtroopers.
Yeah, it's a cool name. That wasn't just to the Nazis. Everybody's had stormtroopers.
Yeah, but the one that was really like prevalent in everyone's mind
All
in
It
the
just
the
means like
70s,
assault team.
You knew what they were going for.
it
They were pure white.
So
They
with
also have red banners.
let's take aside the comparison to the Nazis because I think that because I haven't read any of the books.
Yeah.
And if we're going by purely the Empire as represented
In the
in the movies, I'm going to go ahead and say that the Empire as represented in the movies. Why are we fighting against them? What is the problem with them? Because it just seems to me like all they've done is they've established a government.
Yep.
That they've established a currency
A
that
seat
could
of
be
power.
used, a seat of power. Yeah, they're a little militaristic, but holy shit, we're in a galaxy that has other life forms in it
And
that
a
could
galaxy
be
that
hostile.
loves war.
Yeah.
Like we've clearly seen, they all want to fight each other.
And like, what was the rebellion trying to do? Establish a representational democracy?
Yes.
Was that their whole deal?
that was their deal
Yeah.
is to bring back the
To
Republic's
return-
ideals of having a Senate.
Yeah, but the Senate failed, and so at some point in time, and if we had just gone through the path
Also,
of
It was
Hold on.
sabotage,
It's
though.
not even that. No, it's not even that the Senate failed. It's that through influence, the Senate elected an emperor.
Yes.
Yeah.
The
they
Senate,
created
in
the
their
empire.
final vote,
Yes.
said, "Let's become an
no,
empire."
that wasn't their final vote, my friend. The
Well,
Senate
is still
the Senate
around.
wasn't dissolved until the beginning of A New Hope.
That's true.
So the
Yeah.
Senate was still in
Or-
operation under the Empire itself. We still had a representative body. I'm saying we like I lived in this galaxy. They still had a representative body at the time that was the Senate. Vestigial and useless, but still part of it. The question we're asking here, though, is the Pax Romana justified?
Yes.
Right? Because that's the
out
concept,
of
right?
out of the desert, we will make peace.
Exactly.
So I also will share with you. We do see it in the movie, and it's explained later. You see the prequels, multiple races, multiple aliens, and everything in different departments. Empire in the original. Granted, I know it's for budget reasons. All white humans, right?
Yeah, all
That
humans.
is- all humans. So that is what also happens. Diversity dies. Anyone that isn't human does not have a voice. And what also the Empire does multiple crimes that no one like killing Emperor doesn't get. There's no trial for it or anything. They can do whatever they want, and they can invade homes. They can take what they want. They can take your stuff.
To
Without
be
anything.
fair, yet again, I'm going to state the same thing, and this comes from your precious Rogue One movie. There was no trial because, again, it was believed they were harboring a terrorist who assaulted their base, blew
Damn
up
it.
their shit, and stole their
And
plans.
As the government, I believe they're allowed to enact a court martial in its most base definition, which is a martial court where they can choose who is executed
Fair.
for harboring terrorists.
That is ultimately, we need to remember the rebellion is a
Look.
terrorist organization, whether or not you agree with their ideals.
Look, I'm just saying that if we were in this alternate universe and we're all humans in this room, I'm going to go ahead and assume
Yes.
that.
It's not an alternate universe. It's a different galaxy from a long period of time ago.
Okay, fine. If we were born in a different era in a different place in space and we were all in this room humans, why will we not throw our chips in with a thing that's got our best interest at heart? Okay?
Everyone did. That's what they realized. They
Yeah.
And
realized
guess
So
what?
then
If you
isn't
play
that
with
the
the system, you're
populace?
fine. You're fine.
it's not fine because then they went over to a different planet and like, wait, you want me to put a bullet in this teddy bear? What? Why?
Yeah.
because it's different. But
Oh,
then-
do you mean the teddy bear
thing
that was
that
harboring
murdered
3
every-
terrorists?
That then murdered our boys, that killed our troops. Yes, we should fight them with great hostility.
I'm not saying I don't support the troops. I'm just
Okay,
saying-
it just kind of sounded like
you
sounds
are.
like you don't, Victor.
Again, all of
just
the
saying they're
things
put
that
in
we have
situations
seen,
they shouldn't
that
be in.
everything that the Empire did that you would call heinous, literally can be tied back to, well, if Han, Leia, and Luke didn't go there, this wouldn't have happened.
The reason that any of this even happens is because the government is trying to build a weapon to deter anyone from fucking with the government.
Yes.
And then a terrorist cell of aliens, mind you, breaks in.
not denying the racism. It's there.
It's
we
there.
know.
It is. It's what are they? Bothans?
Yeah,
the Bothans.
Bothans.
No, sorry.
That's the third
Correction.
one.
Bothan stole the plans to the second Death
Yes.
Star.
Yeah.
Not the
the
first
first.
Death Star.
First Death Star was stolen by humans.
By
Yeah.
humans.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the Bothan spy
Android.
network.
As Harry Potter universe would call them, blood traders.
Well,
Jesus Christ.
So at two different point in times, this trillions and trillions of credits worth of R&D that has gone into this building is being pilfered by an organization that wants to blow it up in perhaps the second greatest war crime ever committed.
The first being the
But it-
destruction
yes,
of all
course.
Iran.
Yeah, I'm not.
We acknowledge that was an overshot.
That was an oversight.
But
It
you
was
know
a-
what? No one would have feared the nuke had it not been dropped on Hiroshima, right?
Exactly.
That's
It's the same argument that the president of the United States that owned the nuke had to grapple with, which is we spent all this money on the fucking thing. We got to use the fucking thing, or no one's going to think it works. So might as well kill two birds with one stone. Show the galaxy, yeah, the big fucking thing that I spent all this money on works. And number two, don't fuck with us because we will blow up your goddamn planet with it. So
Yeah.
really, who's the bad guy?
Which kind of makes you wonder, to an extent, if they had never blown up Alderaan, right? Because that's the big bad action. Everything else is just jackboot
Yeah.
tactics.
Sure.
Previous to that, the destroying Alderaan's where they go off the rails. So to an extent,
Yeah.
w-
Because
we're-
Alderaan, even though they had evidence
Yeah.
that Leia Organa had the plans on her ship, right? Like, even though they knew, it was an overstep.
That had to have been
They
a
should have blown up a
hotly-
moon near Alderaan and been like, there goes your moon.
Yeah.
I mean, that would also
That
be
would have been
incredibly
catastrophic.
horrible. and-
Yeah, but if nothing lived on it, a
it
deserted
would
moon.
still, yeah, it would still
Trigger-
A
Triggering massive
no,
climate
even a
change.
deserted moon. If you blew up our moon, we'd all be dead.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, so it was
Giant
actually a
tidal
more
waves and
humane thing to
storms.
destroy the
Yeah.
entire
Yeah, just
planet.
let them die
Yeah.
instantly. Yeah. Well,
All
that's
right.
been another episode of Destroying Fandoms.
Okay.
I hope you all enjoyed, and now we all know that Victor hates the troops.
That's
Don't
right.
hate the troops.
Ethan, play us out.
Okay.
Thank you.